Hi, and welcome to the Lifestyle Show with me, Pam Joseph. It's still rather new for me to be this way remotely looking at you and welcoming into my humble abode, dealing with government, instructions or so, let's just keep it at a distance. So you are very welcome to my home for the Lifestyle Show. For the next 2 hours or so, please stay tuned, as you're going to be edutained, I call it, edutained, by myself and my guests. We want to also say a big thank you to all those who watched us last week in our debut remote virtual look, and such kind messages and warm wishes that you sent. Thank you ever so much. I hope you're keeping it tuned, and I hope you told all your friends as well. Now, in these strange times, we do want to talk. We have a great to talk about to do with the COVID-19 pandemic, but not just here in the UK. We also want to look at aspects across the Caribbean as well, and respective islands, and looking at how they're coping and what have you. So, we want to keep in tune with them in that respect. However, we also want to make it a positive and give out positive messages and inspirational news as well, to keep our spirits up and keep our spirits high. For the next 2 hours, as I said, we've got a packed audience. In a moment, I'm going to be joined by my conspirator. I call him my partner in crime, if you will. But you're welcome to interact. So you can do that by your comments. You can send that on to, we are here live on YouTube, medianet.com. You can send comments through. We can read them out as we go through. You can also do that on the Ben TV email address, which is Ben Television, Lifestyle on Ben at hotmail.co.uk. That can come through. We can do those because we are going to be broadcasting on the Ben TV platform on Sky 458 later on in the week. You can tweet us at Lifestyle TV Show. Don't forget the likes with your Facebook as well, and that is Lifestyle on Ben. Now, at this point, I'm going to have to bring in my partner, Anthony Jordan, aka the Dark Persuader. Anthony, are you with me?
I'm here, Pam. I'm here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, but offended. You welcome us to your home. You call me the co-conspirator. You've not offered me a coffee. I don't know.
Do you know what? And I haven't even got one. Just see what? Sack the staff. Hasn't even made me cup up. It's not good enough. You just can't get him anymore. You can't get him anymore. How's your week been?
Do you know what? It's blink and you miss it, actually. It's kind of got into that stage now. I'm good, thank you. Can't complain otherwise. It's all been good, but it's just I've found ways to keep myself busy, and it just seems to just be one after the other. And before I know, it's Sunday again. How about yourself? How's your week been?
Well, okay, but I must say, a neighbour once said to me once, it's such a thing. I said I must keep it. She said, "Pam, every day is a Sunday." I said to her, "That's so funny. You heard to say that every day is like a Sunday." Well, indeed. But, my week has been, as you say, I do step out, do certain things. I, deliver groceries and certain things to, certain family members as well, keeping my distance, never said keeping my distance. But yeah, it's been a fast week. It's come back from last week to now. But I love those messages we got, Anthony. We got such great messages saying, you're back, and, looks great. And, that's good.
This is it. And you know what? In trying times, there is always a silver lining to a cloud. And this is it. I think lifestyle returning is one of the greatest things for me as well. I've had a few messages. Everyone's had that excitement. They're back. Everyone's lining up. So I guarantee you guys, this isn't just a 2-week show. You will see a lot more because we're back. We are back. It's to be celebrated.
And we're back for good. For good. We've got a packed show lined up. I can't even say enough now because we've got to really send to the first guest. But just to say, our special guest today is the one and only Rudolph Walker, actor. What can I say? Impresario. Rudolph Walker, CBE, I should say. Again, after the OBE, again got that honours just this year. So he's now CBE. So that's great. Later on, we could be talking to him. So it's all good. So everybody's got to get locked in. I'm going to bring in our first guest. We're going to be talking, a little bit of a carnival theme going on still. We're going to keep that going on, Anthony. So I'll check you later.
It's the build up. Yep. See you then. Enjoy.
Nice one. And as I said that, we do welcome, he's regular to the show, I call him my man in the carnival. Ansel Wong. He is the leader of the Elimu mass band. He's also a member of the Notting Hill Carnival Committee. And I'd love to have the usual welcome that Ansel and I know. Warm greetings. We doing it like we do, albeit at different safe distance. But Ansel Wong, lovely to have you on the show. Welcome to the Lifestyle Show.
Yes, this is my annual meeting up with you over
Exactly.
Carnival. I'll always look forward to that great opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you, Ansel. You look very, very well. And I'm saying thank you ever so much to join us in this sort of strange connection. But thank you ever so much.
Yes,
Ansel, I introduced you as the leader of the Elimu mass band. We will talk about it in a moment. But the sad news we had to say last week to everybody about obviously the cancellation of the Notting Hill Carnival as we know it. But it had to be. It's one of those things. But I do note that in their statement, they put that they were going to be hoping to have an alternate Carnival 2020 by keeping us safe in our homes. So I'm kind of thinking we're talking about streamlining. We're talking about a video. Is that sort of what we could probably be looking forward to in August?
So what we are saying essentially is that Carnival hasn't been cancelled. What has been cancelled is Carnival on the road. But we will continue to have Carnival online. And what it is a celebration over the 3 days of Carnival Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 3 days of the celebration of the artistry and of the creativity of Carnival artists and artisans, as well as an exploration of the history, the heritage, and background to the development of the event itself. So these 3 days will be very much focusing on what we think are the key essences of the carnival. Even though we can't dance and jump and enjoy ourselves on the streets, we can do that in the privacy of our homes through our programs and our online platforms.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's lovely to even have that. That is absolutely lovely. We all just look forward then to 2021, big style.
Definitely. 2020, in a sense, was also a very significant year for some of us. For my band, it was our 40th year of participating in Carnival. And Cookie as well, another Carnival band, also celebrated 40 years of participation. But what we've done is we postponed that 40th year, and next year in 2021, we will celebrate those 40 years, even though it will be 41 years. But it's looking forward to renewed participation. And we have a longer now opportunity to plan properly to make sure that 2021 is a really spectacular event.
Yeah, of course. We spoke about you being the leader of Elimu and your 40 years, but for those who are not au fait, those who are joining us for the first time, albeit remotely, they do not know enough about Elimu mass band. Explain about your band, sir, and the name Elimu, what that stands for.
Well, I understand you will be speaking to one of our patrons later, Rudolph Walker. So he is also one of our patrons of the Elimu Mass Academy. We started off as a very much of a community project based on the Harrow Road, working with young people who were truanting and who were at risk. And Elimu was the term I took from Swahili, which means knowledge or education. And the whole purpose was to try and educate our young people to their history, to their background, to their artistry. And because we were so close to the Carnival on the Harrow Road, we got involved in Carnival through producing a short film, 8mm film called High Mass. And that was then done very well. And the young people themselves said, well, why don't we participate in Carnival? Why don't we get involved? And that's what we decided to do. We had very little experience of being ready for Carnival. So we had to learn by error and by trial and error. And since then, in 1980, we participated in every Carnival since then.
Excellent. Brilliant record. You also go abroad. We've always had talks with you every year. It's not just about the Notting Hill Carnival. Elimu Mass Band is connected with other things. Now, Trinidad, biggest carnival, the world. That happened in February?
Yes, it happened. And Luckily, unlike most of the other carnivals, it happened before the pandemic really started, so that it didn't have the kind of effect it has, say, Toronto, Caribana, which had to be cancelled because of the pandemic, and other carnivals, as is the carnivals, other carnivals in the United Kingdom. As you know, Luton has been cancelled, and there's a similar situation with the 4 carnivals in East Midlands.
Yes.
So yes, so carnivals throughout this year is experiencing some very challenging times, and we all hope that next year, all of us, all the carnivals in the UK will come back renewed, more creative, more spectacular, and open to everybody to participate.
Indeed. Can I ask, because if you can, you always sneakily give me the little insight, Elimu's theme for 2020. Can I ask, what was that?
We had a very interesting theme for 2020, because, as you know, it's a celebrated Windrush and the Windrush Day, and we looked at, particularly among our young people, the contributions that Floella Benjamin had made to television through Play School. So what we took is took that idea of Play School, and the windows through which we viewed the program. We've taken each window to be a section of costumes in the band. So when you went through that window, behind that particular window, whether it's rectangular, oblong, or triangle, you would then see a presentation of some of the icons, some of the activists, and something of the contributions that Caribbean people made to this country, reflecting the Windrush generation, as it was called. So we got the approval of Baroness Benjamin to use that idea, but unfortunately, we can't proceed with it. So we will want to look at what we can do in 2021 to ensure we do give due recognition to the contribution she and many others have made to British society.
That's excellent. I love that idea. I love that. I remember that. Which window should we look into now? That's showing my age, actually. So I shouldn't say any more. Okay. So, when we talk about Carnival, the historic of it, and this is the first time we can't have it on the streets, but everybody knows this is the reason why, and there's nothing that can be done about that, but we still have that in our souls and everything else, and to have something streamlined, that would be good too. But when we talk about all the mass bands and the fact that from last year they were working on it, you just talked about Elimu, but they're not disappointed because they know that at least they can do something online and something could happen, and then they could perhaps move that on to 2021, because we haven't seen it. We wouldn't know it to that effect. We could accept it online, but we would love to see it on the street. So maybe they can still move that for 2021. Use the same theme.
That's an option that they have, but I wouldn't want to pay less attention to some of the challenges that some of those bands had, because by this time, certainly a few months ago, they would have sold all their costumes. Some bands who are well prepared would have sold out of their costumes. So it is a challenging financial issue for some of those bands. What they do in 2020 can't happen, and they have collected all this money, or they have issues around financial survival as a carnival band. So we need to look at ways in which we can support those bands, and yes, in 2021 to present the original ideas from 2020 is an option, and I'm sure all of those band leaders will be thinking of how they can maximize on that.
Yeah, indeed. On a personal level, Ansel, I ask all my guests this, how have you been coping and your family through this crisis in the UK? How has it been for you?
It's a bit difficult as well, because with my age, being 75 in October, I had my restrictions.
You don't look it, sir. You don't look it.
Yes, my restrictions are a little more draconian than for you. So we have to stay home and follow those guidelines. And I think one of the most agonizing things was during this period of self-isolation, we lost some important people. And having lost them, icons and activists, Dame Jocelyn Barrow, Althea McNeish, and others who died during this period, and we couldn't say goodbye properly to them at all. And that I felt that most significantly, that what we would have liked to say to these individuals who made such significant contributions to our community, we haven't had that opportunity. And one of my goals for next year, or as soon as this pandemic ceases, is to have a community celebration, a community commemoration for all of these individuals who died during the pandemic when we could not say a proper farewell.
Indeed, sir. People will still want to know a bit more about Elimu Mass Band and see the history of yourselves and where you do go every year. And what website address can we be giving out for people to get to know a bit more about Elimu Mass Band?
Yes, Elimu has a big global program, as you quite rightly say. Each year we go to visit China. Inevitably, we can't go this year. We participate in festivals, carnival festivals in Beijing and Shanghai, promoting the arts of carnival on a global stage. We can't do that, so hopefully we're looking next year to see what will happen. So the band has a website, elimumassacademy.com. You can see some of our work, some of our archives and our history and our costumes. We continue to encourage young designers, young British-born designers, to get involved, and we support them to enable them to have their creations seen on the road. It may not be 100% in terms of creativity and innovation, but we feel very important that Carnival has to be a showcase for British talent, a showcase for our Black community, to enable each individual to participate. So that is one of our key elements, that we will always have a space on the road and on the international stage for that creativity, whether it's in the form of dance, whether it's in some of costumes, whether it's in the form of DJ mixes, or whether in forms of performance. So for last year, we had a most unique feature where we had a classical violinist, Jade-Marie, who is an accomplished classical violinist, playing a classical tune, which she then very gently fused into Savannah Grass, the Road March, as part of our presentation. So we will always give an opportunity for that kind of innovation to happen, and for the opportunity for everybody to make a contribution, perhaps a contribution that is uniquely and quintessentially British within Carnival.
Yeah, excellent. As always, Ansel, we could talk all afternoon, can't we? You know, we always have that. I do have to say my fond farewells, but hopefully, you know, in the next X amount of weeks or so, we could talk again, particularly as we near August, the back end of August, and we can talk a bit more about the Streamline Carnival. And until then, take very good care of yourself and stay safe. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Ansel. Okay, there, Ansel Wong. You know, what can I say? It's just sort of so much of a regular on the Lifestyle Show, and every year around this time we do talk. We even talk nearer to the time of August, talking about Carnival of that particular year, talking about his band, about that particular theme of the year, and talking about the young people getting involved. And what is so significant, and what I love about all the mass bands, is that they do get the young people so much involved, whether it's to do with costume making, whether it's to do with the steel band, you know, whether it's to do with organizing, you know, different functions of their particular mass band and what they do. It's absolutely fantastic. There's a lot that goes on. It's not just about a street party for 2 days or what have you. It starts from year to year. So well done to everyone for 2020. We hopefully, as he said, and I know that the Notting Hill Carnival Trust is going to try and put streamline something online for us to be able to enjoy that. We do have what we call another inspirational speaker to come on and talk to us, and who's gone through the mill, if you will. He is, well, what can I say, the first Black footballer for Chelsea. First Black footballer for Chelsea, so in the Premiership as well. So he's had his hardships throughout but he actually came out of that. He's written a book, and it's a powerful book, and it's called Black and Blue, and it's basically how racism, drugs, and cancer almost destroyed him. His name is Paul Canoville, and we will be having him on the line, joining us here. Paul, what can I say? Lovely to have you, and thank you for taking your time out. How are you?
Sorry, good afternoon. How you doing, Pam?
I'm all right. Thank you very much. Thank you ever so much. I just said, some deep words there. Black and blue, how racism, drugs, and cancer almost destroyed me. Powerful words, and your sort of storyline, and it ends in a positive note. But let's go back. Let's go back. First black footballer, Chelsea football team. How was that? How was that? Amazing as it was. How was that for you?
A dream. It was something that from the age of 5, that's all I wanted to be. But obviously coming from a Caribbean background, my mother didn't see football as as a job. So wanted me to go into other directions, to be a doctor or a policeman. But I stood the ground. Don't get me wrong, it was difficult. Having to convince her. I think other people had to really convince her and tell her how good I was. But don't get me wrong, it wasn't an easy road. As a young lad, I did sway, I did go the wrong way as such, misbehaved. But I think it was the time that I went into Borstal, I misbehaved. I say misbehaved, got myself in trouble. That I had to turn it around and chase that dream. I don't know what we all have, but I had a second mother. And that second mother was an aunt that always encouraged me, and she pushed me. And it was for her that told me I think now you need to start chasing your dreams and follow what you know you're good at. And that was football. So it was when I came out of Borstal, I was playing non-league at Hinton Borough and got spotted by Scout at Chelsea after going for a few tries at various clubs like West Brom, Southampton, Wimbledon. But Chelsea came in. It didn't happen the first time round, first weeks of trial, but the second weeks of trials came and they signed me for the remaining 7 months, and I had to prove myself then. By doing so, playing in reserves, which was great, don't get me wrong. I found it a lot easy. Coming out from semi-pro, scoring goals, man of the match, that I was drafted into the first team after 4 months. Everybody knows my story, to be honest. From that 4 months, I was asked to be a sub in a particular game at Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. Obviously, young lad, 21, 22, he's excited, calls his cousins, calls his friends, come to give me the support. And it was through after the second half, which the game was drawing 0-0, that my managers asked me to go and get warmed up. By doing so, I was so excited, adrenaline was pumping, and the stadium was that close to the fans that I started to hear some racist abuse. I thought, let me ignore this, just concentrate. But it continued, and I thought, well, hold on, man. Nobody talking to those Crystal Palace fans. But I turned around, and it wasn't Crystal Palace fans. It was a minority of my own fans that was racially abusing me, and that was the wake-up call to me. It was very hard, very difficult to concentrate, and I probably lost interest. Even when I got onto the pitch, I hugged the line. I was just waiting for the referee to blow and ran straight into the change rooms. I mean, that's got to be the first time I've ever seen a change room quiet from the players. Usually we have banter, but they came in and they heard consistently what I was called and what could they say to me. I think, at that time, the only person that came to me was my manager, John Neal, and I have to give him thorough respect because he gave me my opportunity and told me this. said, "Pause, man. I don't know what you're thinking right now, but those same ignorant people are the same ones who are paying your wages. What are you gonna do?" And he was right. I had to show him football, but many times I felt like I had to play twice as better than my teammates just to try and get accepted.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And this is way back in 82. I mean,
You know,
now, put it this way, Paul, now, would you say you would have taken on a different stance, even if you still were the same age, but now, would you have sort of like let it go quite quickly early on, just really just said, don't care?
No, I don't think so.
You would have still been the same.
I kind of, at that time, as much as I can get very angry quickly, but I thought, you know what, I had to control myself, and that was like your person, your colleague that you was talking to before, listening to my mum and listening to when she came over the Windrush and her stories. It was like, whoa, I don't know if I could have done that, mum, but I had to be calm. Some of the times she would tell me, man, bite your lip and count to 10. You know what I mean? And it was one of those that, you know what, if they saw that anger and temperament from me, I'd be thrown out. And that was the reason why I kept quiet and I didn't complain. Today's football, you can. I mean, you got to understand the organizations like Kick It Out and Show the Red Card. They wasn't about, at the time, I had nobody to talk to or share what was going on with me or how I was feeling. And the club at that time, different regime, you got to understand, wasn't supportive neither. Today, we are. Today, I can only talk about Chelsea. Today, we're doing a lot of things to eradicate racism in sport and at football. So to be involved in that, you know, an advocate, I'm always there speaking out, most definitely. And this is something we need to get out right now. It's disgusting.
Okay. So in that tagline of racism, that's that. Now you say drugs. Can we talk about
drugs
that?
Came. You got to understand, I had to retire at a very early age of 25. That's your
injury.
Injury, yeah. I dislocated my knee after leaving from Chelsea to Reading Football Club, and through the first 16 after 13 games, and a game that I was so comfortable, I was so well with the lads, a game against Sunderland, and it was a terrible tackle from an opponent that the whole of my knee came out, torn ligaments, torn cruciates, the lot. That when you're told by the specialist, I don't think you can continue being a professional footballer. That was difficult to take. I think going back then, and I go to the periods of when your mother's telling you about taking your education seriously, and you're thinking, "Mum, I'm all right. Football, look after me." Realize now, what am I going to do? I didn't take any exams when I left school, so all I knew for me was football. So that period of time, it was difficult for me when depression came in, mental health came in, and I got involved in drugs, and it took control. It was the worst time in my life. I didn't care. At times when it came, I didn't want to live. I tried to take my life. Many things was going through my head, and if it wasn't for the support of my family, my kids, and the circle of friends I had around me, and obviously going to rehab, that I wouldn't probably be in here today.
Yeah. You just spoke about your kids there, but you had a tragedy with one of your children.
Ooh, you're bringing out some real thing in that. You read that book, didn't you? God. Yeah, I think that as well gave me strength. And when my son died in my arms at 10 days old, yeah, that kind of tore me up inside. As much as not just myself, but his mother and his sister, that I had to fix up. I had to fix up. It was hard explaining to your kids really what was going on, and I was always in denial and trying to keep them away, and everybody, like with depression, it was a case of I'd smile on the outside, but inside I was tearing up, all because I didn't want to share with anybody. So to come through that, I think the best help I had was talking to a counsellor, and that was one of the hardest things for me to do because of your background, Caribbean background. If you know your parent, your mother tell you, don't tell anybody your problem. It stays in full.
The dirty laundry doesn't go out there.
Doesn't go out. You know that. And it was a case when people ask you, are you all right, Paul? Yeah, I'm fine. And I wasn't fine. I wanted to open up, I couldn't. And the counsellor helped me to do that. And it's the reason why probably in that I'm able to talk now as a motivational, inspirational speaker as such, you know.
Yeah. We're going to hook on that right now because we do have to round up, and I wanted to talk a bit about something else, but we have to round up. So let's talk about your motivational speech. Let's talk about the fact that you do inspire young people. Let's talk about the book as well. So first of all, how can people get their hands on this book? It is called Black and Blue. Where do they obtain this book?
Black and Blue, you'll have to order it from Amazon. And you forget to tell them this one sports book of the year. I was shocked that it did. It's not just about football. It's about me growing up naturally as a kid, vulnerable as such. And having cancer, which you mentioned, I've had it 3 times. First time it's coming through, I took it lightly and I nearly died. That inspired really the resilience of getting up every time I'm knocked down. And this is what I do with the kids, which obviously comes from the Paul Canoville Foundation. We like to assist because many of these kids need mentors. They do need mentors.
They do. So
I know that because I grew up without, my dad left when I was 2, and me and my sister, and it was my mum that brought us up. And I know I gave her a difficult time, and I wanted a male figure. I needed a male figure to talk to share, and I didn't have that. So I know today's kids, they do need mentors. They do need somebody to share with. They do need somebody to hold and talk to them. So that's the reason why. So
Paul, can we get that website address for the foundation?
You can do. Different because we're refurbishing it at this moment. So if you don't see it up, be patient. It is being refurbished. By the end of the month, it should be. I hopefully will say it should be www.paulcanavillefoundation.com. or .co.uk. Hopefully try them out, but be patient, as I said.
People can look out for that. In the meantime, they can buy your book and they can go to Amazon, Black and Blue by Paul Canoville. Paul, thank you ever so much. I'm going to probably say to you, I'd like to invite you later on in the year as well, but thank you for coming to the first time on the Lifestyle Show, albeit very remote, but it's all good. And maybe next time we can meet each other in the flesh. Thank you ever so much, Paul. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Wow, a wonderful, inspirational bit there, because I mean, you know, you go to a dark place and, you know, you come out. It's amazing to be able to do that. And I think if a lot of people can hear most of these stories, I keep doing this thing wrong. I'm going to take these off because it's getting nervous. If people can hear all about that, it's absolutely wonderful. So let's fix myself up a bit and let us invite our next guest onto the show. Can we please have Tyrone Roach? Tyrone, are you with me? Hey. How are you?
All right.
It's great to meet you. Last time I think I saw you at certainly 2019 at a place called the Tabernacle.
Yep.
In Ladbroke Grove.
Yes, you did, yes.
Yes, and that was last year. So, you know, you're looking well, sir, may I say. Tyrone Roach, the UK correspondent of the Barbados Nation newspaper, PRO for the National Council of Barbadian Associations, and the chairperson of the Barbados Overseas Community and Families Association. Had to get that in, yes?
Really? Did you really?
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to have to ask you, you know, I'm asking all my guests this as we start off, just to be nice and polite and to really know what's going on. How have you been through this crisis here, the COVID-19 in the UK?
Well, it's been a bit of a challenge now because we've been locked down for so long. It's almost getting quite boring, isn't it? Really, having to be unlike the other people who are learning new skills like baking bread and all this kind of food. I can't cope with that. But no, it has been boring. But it's necessary, isn't it? Really.
We're going to go a bit more about something because we want to talk about people in Barbados as well, because I think we could talk a bit more about what's happening in Barbados. I realized that by looking at the latest stats that there's up to 132 tests was done, positive, 132 carried out by the Barbados Santos Public Health Laboratory, which was on the 16th of the 5th. And they say that out of 86, 44 women and 42 men, 77 people have recovered. Unfortunately, 7 have died and 12 remain in isolation. Is that correct, sir?
I think it's just, I got different figures to you, but I think it says that we've only had 7 deaths.
Yeah, that's what I've got from yesterday's.
Yeah, and then 24 positive cases, I got 207 tests. But basically, it's been handled quite well, and Barbados managed to shut down on March the 28th.
Yes.
And they're moving into a new phase from tomorrow, where they're opening the hairdressers and pediatricians and stuff like that. And also, they're allowing people to go to the beach in the evenings as well, because the beach was closed down as well.
Yes.
And then they allow people to go to the beach from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And then now from Monday, they'll be allowed to go from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, something like that.
Oh, that's good. That's good indeed.
And you can buy your rum. And during the lockdown, they weren't able to buy rum as well.
This is it. This is it.
It must be pretty horrific.
Yeah, alcohol was banned. I mean, in a way, it was good. Most of the Caribbean islands seemingly did the same thing. They actually sort of banned alcohol to be sold. They actually sort of done a proper lockdown, if you will. They did a 24-hour lockdown initially, and that was sort of going on there. The beaches were closed and locked off. We've heard about places in St. Lucia, as well as Grenada and what have you, that they did do a proper lockdown, if you will, and limited amount of people coming out for the stores, and literally only to get their essentials. And I heard that Barbados actually did a alphabetical thing, that if you're on your surname, on your alphabet, then you actually go out to the store.
Yeah, we were small enough to be able to do that, and I think it worked quite well. But there's a different dynamic of working, queuing up in the hot sun for 2 hours, than queuing up in the hot sun in England, because in the cold sun in England, because we have the long queues as well. But it was you have the weather that you can hang out, but I was certainly wouldn't be 2 hours. Yeah.
I mean, of course, because it's so hot and sweltering. But of course, the masks is vital, is essential.
Well, it's essential. I'm not one of the people that think that we really need to have masks, really, because I just feel that if you maintain the social distance, but it's not my law, and it's not something that is set in stone by any governments or scientists out there. There's not.
But certainly in St. Lucia, we spoke to the tourism minister last week.
Yes.
St. Lucia, it is like you cannot come out of your house and attend any shop or go to even a petrol station without your mask or your gloves. And my sister resides in Barbados, and it's the same there.
Well, you can't come up with a mask. Well, it's a guidance. It's not. I'm not sure if it was a law.
They do. In St. Lucia, they definitely have made it. That is it. You cannot approach. You cannot go into a store. You cannot go into it without a mask. You cannot go to a petrol station without mask or gloves, and that is their law on the land of St. Lucia. I thought it was the same in Barbados, that if you are going to attend a supermarket, any sort of store, pharmacy, you should have your gloves and your mask.
Yeah, you're advised to have gloves and mask.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of what helped it, because this is why the numbers are low, because it was shut down. The islands were majority, I think, did it around the same time. They shut down quite quickly. They shut down hard for the first at least 24, 48 hours. And then they sort of tippy-toed with the supermarkets and what have you. They were really quite strict. And what they did do very early on was the testing, but they also did the masks. They maintained that. Cover your mouth. You didn't have to wear surgical masks, but the covering. Yeah.
So your point is that the masks were very important. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. Let's agree to differ on that one.
Okay. well. As far as
you're not using much mask in London, are you?
Yeah, it's a success story because, for instance, in St. Lucia, they were up to 19, 2 of which were UK, but 17, if you will, at St. Lucia, who were fully recovered, no deaths, no new cases. It's a success story. If you follow the rule of doing things like that, you can sort of confine it as well. I mean, even to say the borders, all of the borders have been carefully sort of monitored and shut down, haven't they, all across the country?
That was a success story, closing down the border, so stopping other people from bringing it in, because most cases were mainly people who came in from abroad. So
that's right.
Closing down hinder the spread of the virus. Yeah.
So talk to me about the Barbados Nation newspaper, and for those who are not au fait with that publication, it's a weekly, a fortnightly.
Yeah.
What information can anyone receive by obtaining that newspaper?
Well, the paper is a weekly edition of the last week's stories in the daily paper. So we compile the stories, and we cover right across the islands as well. So you will have pages on all the different Caribbean islands, how they're doing during this particular area as well. And it's sold in the UK right across the UK in New Zealand. So handle their operations over here, and also adds stories about what's going on in the Barbadian community in London, as well as. So I suppose I'm due next to do a story on you, Pam.
Yeah, well, exactly. I was just thinking about the fact that, as well as you talking about what's happening in Barbados to the expats here, there's also an element as well. Excuse me, that shouldn't be happening.
Oh dear.
I see that's live. That is really live for you. That shouldn't be happening at all here. Okay, so we talk about the UK for the Asian people in the UK to know, or Asian people in the UK to know about what's happening to their relatives and to the expats in the UK. So they could get information, can they not, about in the newspaper about what's happening over here?
Yeah, but in a small section of it. But the paper is basically aimed at the older generation who are not au fait with the online situations.
Right.
And one of the biggest areas for the paper is the deaths. So older people will just go to the newspaper and start pages on family notices, so they can find out who might have died at home that they knew and stuff like that. So it's a connection with the homeland, and it's also available online as well. So if people want to access the paper, they can also access the paper. Many Barbadians out there who have stories that they think are relevant, and they think that Barbadians at home would like to know about it. I mean, those who have been involved in the COVID frontline, like care workers and stuff like that. If you want to tell your story, then contact us here at the Barbados Nation newspaper, and we will put your stories in there, because it's quite a lot of Caribbean people as a whole have been involved in the NHS and in the hospitals and care homes and in the frontline supporters and stuff like that. And they're very much part of this virus thing. But one of the things I would like to highlight really is what at the moment the top tier of our elderly community are dying quite quickly. Yeah. Picked up on that quite a lot of the older persons in our community who have had underlying illnesses have been dying quite quickly. And I think throughout the month of April in London, we knew about 15 people who have died throughout April. Wow. Well, everything is being put down as COVID-related illnesses at the moment.
Yeah, They are putting that down. Yeah, essentially that, you know, if somebody does die of a heart attack, that they would, or, you know, have stroke issues or whatever, and respiratory problems, they still cover it by saying COVID related. And it's an issue that is being looked at right now as we speak. You know, why is it always being put with COVID related? And maybe it is COVID related. Maybe if the person had a heart attack or a stroke, without this virus being around, they could survive. They could have probably survived it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're saying it is COVID related, because possibly they could have survived the stroke. They could have survived the heart attack. They could have dealt with the respiratory issues that they do have. And we're going to find out more in the days and weeks to come about that. But you are right in saying that when they talk about for times more likely for a particular you know, a black man, black woman to die than their white counterparts, it's in the makeup. They're saying it's to do with our, you know, underlying things that most of us in the community may be suffering with: diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, sickle cell, lupus. You know, there's loads to say, but it's still at a higher rate in terms of, I say the higher rate in terms of the NHS workers. Now, that's because they're right at the front line. And if they've got these underlying conditions, then they're right at the front line, obviously they are going to go quicker. You know, if you say the immune system, that lacking of vitamin D, for instance, they're saying that we need to make sure we're stacked up with vitamin D within us, because that's the way our bodies are made up. We need our vitamin D things going on. Again, if we are not putting that, many of them are putting that front line in those strategic places, whether it's a care home, whether it's in the hospital, then perhaps, of course, you know, loads of them may needlessly, you know, we wouldn't have had these deaths. They are also coming out with the fact that perhaps their bosses could push them away from the front line and maybe let them go into other departments within the hospital. Do you agree with that?
I think that might be difficult logistically to just shunt people around, but that is something for the experts to talk about rather than me as a mere observer, because I don't think that it's easy to run any organization where you select, and even some of the same nurses that you're talking about, might feel within themselves that this is what they're meant to do, care for people, and they might not want to move from the front line. So there's all those different equations involved.
Their choice.
Yeah, we can't really speculate on that.
I understand that. Tyrone, you know, the time always flies by. We've got to wrap this up. We're going to talk again. You're going to be back on again. You do know that, so keep your diaries a bit free. So, but if you could give to our viewers contact details of where they could look up about the Barbados Nation newspaper, any details at all on that, sir?
You can access it online at www.nationnews.com, or you can, any news agents in the UK, you can contact them and get all the newspaper. Just ask for the Barbados Nation by name. And by the way, just for a little word, the West Indian store of England is not off yet officially, you know.
Okay.
So just in case they might play behind those, they've just social distances in the stadium. So bear that in mind, because I know you're an ardent English supporter.
Nice one. Thank you, Tyrone. We'll talk soon. Take care. Take care. Lovely. Tyrone Roach there. Right. Now, we're going to jump from one thing to another. This is fast moving. I'm going to welcome, well, I call her newbie, to the Lifestyle Show, Pauline Milnes, who is a member of the National Caribbean Monument Charity. Basically, to sort of like look at the Caribbean community they've been looking at it for 400 years of military and civilian services to Great Britain and the Commonwealth. This is about appreciating that and respecting that and remembering that. And as we've just done VE last week, we're still going to continue with that. Pauline Milnes, are you with me, my lady?
Certainly, I'm Pam.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yes, I'm fine.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for joining us today. It's a great thing. We were hoping to have had you last week. Never mind, we continue our celebrations. V-Day, we continue that on the Lifestyle Show. Talk to us a bit more about the organisation, the National Caribbean Monument Charity.
Our role is basically to acknowledge the military service, men and women of the Caribbean, going, as you said, going back centuries, those who serve today as well. And there's a centre in Staffordshire, the National Memorial Arboretum, and they've got over 300 memorials there. Every other nation there is represented except for the 18 Caribbean islands. So when it became knowledgeable that there was nothing there, we decided that we're going to do something about it. So we've got a campaign that's been going for a couple of years now to raise funds for this. And at the moment we have a design. We've got an allocated plot there as well. And we've got our sculptor, Martin Jennings, who actually did the Mary Seacole statue. Wow. And he's actually in the process of doing a maquette, which we hope to unveil, and this will help in our fundraising efforts. So what we're actually looking for is to raise the profile of the charity and try and encourage new membership.
It's absolutely brilliant. Is it something that, you know, we think that we don't know much about across the UK? For many of our communities dotted out, whether it's Leeds or Birmingham or London, that we didn't really, you sort of like know much about this. Would you say that to be true?
Yes, it is. And the reason it came to light is I paid a visit with some others a few years ago, and that's only because of my military background. So if you weren't from a military background, you most probably wouldn't have ever heard of the National Memorial Arboretum. And I guess a lot of listeners today, this is the first they're hearing of it.
So sorry, what is your military background?
I served in the Army, Women's Royal Army Corps in the early 1970s.
Wow, what rank?
I always say private first class.
First class, don't you know? Just talk to us a bit more about it. I want to hear this a bit more. What was your role? What was your role exactly as a private first class?
Right, I was a supply controller, which was, so I was in the Women's Royal Army Corps, seconded to ordnance. And ordnance, you supply anything from ammunition to your supply train, and you supply anything from a screw to a tank, to out in the field to those that need it. So it was really interesting, yes. And I did most of my service, nearly 3 years of it, in Germany.
In Germany. So you drove tanks?
I didn't. We just supplied the actual tanks and the bits and uniforms and blankets and things like that. We supplied the units. Anything they needed, we supplied it.
Yeah, interesting. What made you join the army?
I was at school in Gloucestershire. I grew up in Gloucestershire, and an army recruitment team came, and they were specifically targeting the boys, and they set up an assault force. I was a bit of a tomboy, and I practically have a go in this assault force. And I obviously impressed the recruiting sergeant, and he told me the Women's Royal Army Corps. I didn't know that women had served in the army anyway, so this for me. I was 15 at the time, so as soon as I reached 17, I started applying, and I joined in the September of 1970 when I was 17 and a half.
Wow. Can I ask you, were your parents, did they welcome that or not?
I think they thought it was the best thing for me. Yes. And I think because it's something I wanted to do, I was quite strong-willed as well. I'm not sure whether they thought I would last or not, but I did. I wasn't sure if I would last or not. So, yeah, it was a great experience, and one I'd do all over again if I had the opportunity.
Yeah, of course. Wow, so that's amazing. So to hear about your story alone is amazing. But you know, when we talk about the TNCMC, we talk about looking at the remarkable stories and sacrifices, bravery, gallantry, and courage of individuals, you know, across the board. And you know, you go to schools, you go to colleges.
Yes, and you know, so the charity, we're all over. It's a national charity.
Yeah.
So, but the actual monument will go in Staffordshire, which is in the West Midlands, because obviously that's a military centre of remembrance.
Yeah,
But it is a charity. So I'm based in London. Some of the team are based in just outside of London. Some are based in the Midlands. So we're sort of scattered all over.
Mm. And do you talk in the schools? Do you go to the churches and do you do things like that?
We do. Usually around sort of Black History Month is when we're usually we're in great demand. We do church services. We have a standard. So because most of our team are ex-military across the board, so that's Army, Navy and Air Force. So we do standard bearing and things like that. Yeah. And we've done presentation in schools.
Yeah, yeah. On a scale, just slightly, maybe on the sort of like the survivals, the veterans, if you will, you know, Caribbean wise, is there a lot of them left?
Right. So we've got Mr. Jarrett. You might have seen him. He's been quite prominent recently. He's ex-RAF. There's one gentleman, Mr. Wilmot. He actually served in the Navy and the Air Force during the Second World War. There are other veterans, Caribbean veterans. A lot of them went back after the war, back to their home islands. And there's still some in Jamaica. And I'm not sure if you know, but in the Second World War, women actually joined up from the Caribbean. And they joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service, which was the women's branch of the army in those days. And I was doing a research on one of them, and she actually came over to the UK, and she was manning the anti-aircraft guns. Wow. And yeah, and these guns, what they were, so the women were, their role was to spot the enemy aircraft coming over, pinpoint the guns onto the target, but they weren't allowed to fire it. That was up to the men to do. But it was a very responsible role. And obviously, if you're manning one of those, you're just as likely to get killed by an enemy aircraft as the men. So you were at the front line, basically, in the UK.
Definitely front line, definitely. Fantastic. So let's talk a bit more about how we could, you know, get people to know more about how to help, how to join in, contribute, and what have you to what you're doing here. Give us more about the contact details, where they can go on a website or how they can make donations.
Right, so the website is www.tncmc.org, and you can go on our Twitter page. I'm just going to read it off for you. Our Twitter page is at TNCMC Charity 1. Our Instagram page is TNCMC19, and we have a Facebook page that's under the National Caribbean Monument Charity.
This is brilliant. You're talking about doing this and presenting an educational kind of link, and, you know, for future generations as well to know about, you know, their sort of like forefathers and foremothers in, you know, world wars. Again, that could be found in one of those links. Is it on the tncmc.org link?
Yes, so that's our website, and from there it will give you a background of the charity, and it will also, in fact, it's quite educational. We've got our standard on there and the maps of the 18 Caribbean islands. And if you actually, it's live, and if you actually click on each island, it gives you some information. And on some of the islands, because we're updating it all the time. So some of the islands, if you click on there, it will actually give you the names and the villages of people that served and died in the Second World War.
How fantastic.
And from the website as well, you can donate. It will direct you where to donate and also become members. We're looking for members as well. We need to increase our membership, which is very important. Very
important indeed. Right, okay, thank you ever so much, Pauline. We have to wrap it up there, and, you know, we'll keep in touch with you throughout the time. We'll keep in touch with you to see how things are going on. Thank you for joining us today. Do take very good care of yourself.
I will do, Pam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pauline. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Wow, that's inspirational. It's all good. It's all good. You know, we like to keep in touch with what our forebears did and you know, especially when we talk about the day we celebrated big time in, you know, remotely in England. But it's always good to know about what the Caribbeans did, their contribution to World War II as well. So we leave that there, and then we're going to be, hopefully, we're going to be hooking up with what I call one of Britain's most iconic Black British actors, although he wasn't born in Britain, but he is British, as far as I'm concerned. He was born in Trinidad. And at this moment in time, lack of filming going on, as you know, with all the soaps going on, there's no filming going on, whether it's BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, whatever. He's in one of the most popular TV soaps in England. It's called EastEnders. He plays a pivotal role. He plays the role of Patrick, I think it's Turnbull, if I got that right. Anyway, he's been in it for over 15 years, let's put it this way. But he's hanging out in his, you know, born country of Trinidad, and I hope he's joined us on the line to talk to us about. I want to talk about this CBE as well, because that went under the banister. Rudolph Walker, CBE, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Hello, lovely to see you.
Good to see you. Good to talk
praise,
to you.
Praise.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. I was trying to figure it out yesterday, and I said, my gosh, is it 8 years? I think it's 8 years. We have last time you've been on the show 8 years ago.
Wow.
I think it is. I got my calculation, but I mean, what can I say? The years have done nothing to you. Look at you. You still look the same.
And maybe it's because I'm in Trinidad. Well, that's the reason why I look.
Probably it is because you're in Trinidad, I would say. Oh my gosh. So on another note, to say it seriously now, how have you been through this COVID-19 crisis?
Well, I have been coping reasonably well. I am blessed. I think the good Lord is looking after me to have me down here. You know, and the government is just doing a fantastic job. They've been doing a great job. And I feel relatively safe. You know, I have to abide by all the rules and regulations, like wearing your mask when you go out and maintaining that distance between when you're shopping. All the things that, you know, you have to do in the UK, only that we did it a lot sooner.
Yes.
Yeah. And as a result, it's limited the impact over here. That you, yes, I mean, we are down to a population of just over 1.5 million. I think we've had 7 fatalities. It's kept a very, very even level, so we haven't had any spikes or increase. Yes, I am just blessed to be here. On my own, but I have the freedom of the garden and things like that. And as I said, observe the rules and regulations.
Of course. I was just going to ask you, Rudolph, did you go over just before the lockdown here in the UK, or did you manage to, you know, even as we were going to be locking, did you manage to get a flight? I'm not sure. When did you go to Trinidad?
Well, I came down here. What I try and do every year, as I said, I keep saying during the winter, or at least for about 4 weeks or so, I escape EastEnders and I come to some sunshine. In a way, it's my answer to a psychiatrist. Rather than go to Harley Street, I come to Trinidad. So I came down here for Carnival, and it's amazing because you had my dear friend Ansel Wong earlier on.
Yes.
And we were down in Trinidad. He was down here at the same time and went back before me. And just as I was about to fly back to the UK, all hell let loose.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't use the word. So I got stuck here. Maybe that's one phrase I can use, but the other phrase is that the good Lord said, you know, Rudolph Walker, you're in Trinidad, stay in Trinidad. And
you stay there. That's right. Obviously, you've been keeping up to date, Rudolph, with the total figures and what's happening in the UK. Devastating figures. As you know, it's just behind the USA. We're 34,000. and rising, many of which are, you know, older folk, but also very, very highlighted, the Black, Asian and minority ethnics. They say that we happen to be 4 times more likely if we were to catch the virus, to die from it. There is an investigation, there is an inquiry, they're looking into it. But would it be safe to say that maybe you are right, that, you know, God's idea for you was not to be here, because it's not looking very good for the BAME community at the moment?
Well, exactly. And you get the same report coming out of America. I think President Obama highlighted that, and a lot of the top you know, individuals right across the globe, especially in America and the UK, have highlighted the fact that you know, we are more likely to you know, for it to be fatal. And yes, I hope that there's a very in-depth investigation into why that is, and a real in-depth investigation. And, you know, they have not just to take not only what is happening in the UK and America, but they have to take what is happening right across the globe, you know, be it Africa, be it the Caribbean, be it wherever. Why is it we are, you know, why we are susceptible to, you know, the virus and anything that's of that nature. It needs to be an honest and an in-depth investigation.
Yeah, indeed. I was saying earlier, Rudolph, sorry, you know, we've got the EastEnders, we've got Coronation Street, we've got many of those soaps that have stopped filming. Lots of repeats are being shown, and sometimes it's not being shown at all. But we have heard that possibly, the government is saying that possibly in July, things could start sort of opening up again for, you know, maybe limited amount of people on set, if you will. But have you been given the call to come back in?
No, I'm following exactly. I think we are all waiting for the government guidelines as to exactly when and how it's going to happen. So my news is just as much as the same news that you have had and the papers seem to have had. So, but I am waiting. I am not due back until the beginning of July. That's when I am booked to come back. But in any case, I am also, you know, here we are on lockdown. There are no flights. The government, as I said, have been fantastic here. You know, they're not allowing any entry into the country, into the island, to contaminate what is already a comparatively safe place.
Yeah.
So there are no flights coming in. So at this point in time, there is no way Rudolph Walker can get out of Trinidad, certainly before July.
Yeah.
So that is the bottom line. There is
right. But if Rudolph Walker could get out in July, if the government here said it's okay, if Trinidad opened up its borders and flights coming out, how safe would you feel? How comfortable or confident would you feel to come back on our shores in the UK?
Well, one of the things that you know, it's not just me, it's for anyone coming back to the UK. You know, I would prefer, I would want it to be, it can't be 100%, because even here it isn't 100% safety. You know, you have to be very careful, although the government are easing various, you know, things, and they're doing it gradually. They're not going hell-bent and saying, not because the situation appeared to be fantastic, that we are going to let everything go haywire. You know, that's inviting problems later on. So, you know, it'll have to go hand in hand. You know, it's I would like to feel that by the time I get on an aircraft to get back to the UK, number one, the flights BA has and Virgin Atlantic are allowing flights to depart, or allowing aircraft to pick their nationals up at various parts of the world. That is number one. Secondly, yes, I would like to feel that I would be a lot safer coming back at that time than I would have been, let's say, now or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. But nobody knows what is happening in the UK. I don't think anyone even the scientists or the experts and the government seem to be at odds as to exactly what is happening and what tomorrow will be like and what laws are going to come in. So, you know, we don't know. I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know. But what we do know is about the foundation, the Rudolph Walker Foundation. So let's talk a bit. Well, for those who don't know at all about the Rudolph Walker Foundation, let's talk about that.
Well, you know, it was interesting you talking to the footballer earlier on, and he said that, you know, having mentors around at the time, which is also very important and vital in all young people's lives, not just, you know, the black youngsters, but all young people's lives. You know, some of us are not blessed to have a strong father and mother around. Some of us are, you know, even if the fathers are around, they're not active in their kids' life. And I, growing up in Trinidad as a youngster, I came from a single parent family. I would say I had mentors, but my mentors were the neighbors. My mentors were the old people living around the corner. The people I respect, my teachers, they were all mentors, my mother, you know, but that doesn't exist now. So the youngsters are having, you know, they're having it rough. You know, there's so much pressure on society. And as I had mentioned before, back in the 70s during Love Thy Neighbor period, I was working in schools in Brixton, the Tulsa and the Dick Shepherd School. And the youngsters then were saying, you know, Mr. Walker, we have problems. We leave school, we are stopped by the police. There was a sus law, we can't congregate, we can't chat, we can't. So I launched what we call, to abbreviate what we're doing, inter-school drama competition between zoo schools. And it was the idea is to get the youngsters to work outside school hours, to create their, you know, to get their creative juices going. And I got celebrities to come along and talk to them and to judge the competition. Like Carmen Monroe and even Muhammad Ali turned up on one occasion. So we had mentors. So mentors, you know, that was something I did very early back in the 70s through drama. And fast forward, I launched the foundation properly on my 70th birthday. Wow, it was a long time ago. It was over 12 years ago. And again, it's going to schools, especially in schools where there are problems, and try and get other celebrities to go in and mentor the youngsters through drama, and culminating in a fantastic inter-school drama competition with schools up and down the country. At the moment, we have schools from Birmingham, Manchester, Cardiff, London, and we hope to spread it, wider, and maybe in the Caribbean in the not too distant future.
Exactly.
So that really is the foundation in a nutshell, to go in and give youngsters some sort of a leg up, or give them, encourage them that they are capable. Each and every one of them are capable of achieving great things.
Yeah, indeed, because you have the role model awards as well, so you recognize those who have made extreme effort.
Exactly. Yeah. And that, I mean, unfortunately, because of the problem this year, we had to cancel this year's competition. But as Ansel said about the Carnival, 2020 is going to come back 2021 stronger and far better, and yes.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. We want to also talk about, well, what do you call it? The T-shirt said recycled teenager. I love that. Recycled teenager. Why not?
Well, why not?
You had inspirational words. You did a piece to camera, very inspirational words, and there's things that you're saying is for free. The sunshine that, I loved it. We're going to be using that, sir. As one of our inspirational bits for our show. Even perhaps when we start every show, we might use that, if you will. But I love that. What made you think of doing that?
Well, it was one of those strange things. Someone got through to EastEnders several weeks ago for some of us to do either recite a poem or do something to distribute among care homes, because they're having a rough time at the moment. And I've been thinking, and what can I say? I don't want to go down the road. I couldn't find a poem. And suddenly, my ex-wife sent me this, or, we circulate amongst the family and friends and whatnot, all sorts of messages. And this arrived on my website. And I thought, yes, I can use that as the basis. A message to the care homes. And of course, I embroidered on that. And then I thought of the T-shirt that I had made for my 80th birthday, and the words on that. And I thought, well, incorporate all that. The only thing that I did, which was a downer, and I don't know if you're going to show that as well, towards the very end, the sentiment was absolutely right. And that is the Martin Luther King, "We Shall Overcome."
Yeah.
According to my son, I shouldn't sing it.
That was all right. That was fine. I thought it was fine. You said crooning kind of sound, and it was a fine kind of sound, and it was a typical Caribbean kind of sound. That was fine for me. I think that is fine for millions of people. Inspirational, lovely. Oh, Rudolph, we have to round up, and it's such a joy talking to you, and we will have you again. No doubt we will have you again on the show. But if you can just quickly give our viewers contact details, any social media details you would like to give out to the viewers.
Well, just as far as not detailed, I would just like to say for all the viewers, just stay home, stay safe, do your exercises, eat well. And as far as a lot of your viewers are concerned, we mustn't diminish the fact that it is so important to follow a good diet. Your vitamins, vitamin D, it has been said over and over again, and good health. Yeah. And think positive and smile. The world is so serious with all that is happening. If you laugh, that is a recipe for good health. Enjoy yourself.
Excellent. Excellent. Well done, Rudolph. Well done. And by the way, very quickly, congratulations on your CBE earlier this year. Congratulations, Rudolph Walker, CBE, actor extraordinaire. We see you soon. Take care of yourself.
And you. Blessings. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? Okay, wow. I love that. Just, talking about feel-good factor. Let's get some musical enlightenment with the feel-good factor. So I think having that wonderful talk there with Rudolph, let's bring in another wonderful chap, aka Dark Persuader. Hello, Anthony. Hello, sir.
Hello. Sorry, I was muted there. I was still there. I was blown away. It's always a great moment to have Rudolph Walker, CBE. I'm still blown away. Do you know the part that really got me though, Pam?
Yeah.
He said 12 years after, from his 70th birthday, 12 years ago.
Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see what I'm talking about? I said he ain't changed.
He looks younger than me. He looks younger than me. Mr. Walker, a pleasure and honor. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Well, Anthony, I'm going to leave the ropes to you right now. I'm going to swing out of here. I know we're going to have an enjoyable time, for the next how many minutes, and I'm going to leave it to you. I'm signing out.
See you later. Thank you very much, Pam. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. I want to welcome everybody to the Entertainment Corner. We do have a couple of artists lined up today, so it's going to be very interesting. A bit of comedy. This will be a weekly sketch, so we will be going on with that. And then, as you know, from previous Music Corner to Entertainment Corner, we do have a few music videos to keep you going. If I'm not mistaken, at this time, do we have Flyght available? Okay, I believe I know due to... Oh, he is there indeed. Flyght, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, I'm good.
Good. Thank you. I really want to put a huge thank you out to you because I know the time difference means we've got an early one here. But
then get my wake up well early.
Yeah, man. I do apologize, but that's the time difference, and I do really appreciate you being here with us. So, what can I say? The Magnum King 2017.
No,
the people's Magnum King, the man himself.
Yeah.
What can I say? From the age of 5, you've known you've had this in you. Tell us about your journey up until today. How can we go about this?
Well, all right. It's a school. It started in a school, you know. Yeah, so you used to beat the decks them and make the sound them and try to DJ and try to make fun of every little thing around. So it was there me discover say, I have the talent, but still never did know what it really was. Me just do it until the more I grow, I grow into it more. So till it does manifest into what it is. You understand? So it's just like I think like you just born for something, it already and you can't go around it, you just have to do it and the people them enjoy it every time one time I do so. I just continue and it bring me right here. So right now.
Big. No, and you know what? You are right. You kept at it. You went into Magnum. You as you said, not only when we say the people's Magnum King, it's because you came in, you won the last ever episode that they had of that, but you had the highest votes available. So that shows who you were to the people.
The people they really love the way how I approach, week in, week out. Them like the way I approach everything, or I attire myself, or I organize my music, them. You understand? The entertainment. It was like this a full package, you give them a full package, like a one-stop shop. So whenever I'm getting ready to hit the stage, you could just hear the crowd, I get wild, I wait to see when time I step on. And when I step on in a suit and my thing and come near the performance, I just beer excitement, just beer joy, beer love, the reception.
That is big. I love it. So that's the public perception. And I'm not saying the public and the crowd doesn't mean much. But then you have Bounty Killer, Beanie Man, and Robert Livingston calling you a lyrical genius. How does it feel to have those kind of people give that kind of respect to someone like yourself?
Well, it is a joy, because as younger kids growing up, we used to look up to them, and see them do it, and us. I wonder how them do it and how them look so comfortable in front of the crowd and in front of the camera, and it always amazes you. So now that's me step out into the forefront and then get to rub shoulder with them, and see how them appreciate my talent and love what I do, and them saying to me that them get inspiration from what me the same way, and me remind them much of them younger days. You understand? Because remember these guys are, in the game for a little while now. You understand what I say? So year in, year out, them there. So when time them see like a young talent emerge, it's like them can see the trace of greatness on you from very, very early. You understand? So that are what excite them about me. How me put my thing together, how me deliver, my deportment, everything is just a full package. You understand? Yeah.
That is it. And you have delivered that time and time again. So I'm going to touch on what people can see right now is your name. You've got Flyght, and then people formerly knew you as Bluugo. So the name has changed. Would you like to explain that to everyone to let them know the motion and the reasoning behind that?
All right. So what happened is that, you have an ex-artist in Jamaica with a similar sounding name like that. It not spell the same, but it sounds similar when you say it. So people tend to mix it up a lot. So like sometimes I enter like a big stage for go perform, and like the MC, when the MC is going to introduce me to the crowd or introduce me to the stage, them normally make mistake with the name and I call me the next artist's name. You understand? So it always a throw me off. So when I go up on the stage, I have to address it and I say, yo, and I put the name of Bluugo. You understand? And you understand? So as me I say, even on the radio, sometimes the disc jockeys them playing the songs, and them I say brand new one from the man called Bluugo, but they make it sound like Bluugo. So like people will hear this song and I say, wait, that new bugle are nice, but so it is like it kind of shadow me. It kind of shadow me in a sense. So me say, all right then. Me can't just get up and just throw it away, but me have to go kind of just take flight to the name, like me have to go put myself somewhere where from you hear the name or from you hear it, you recognize me, You understand? So I just it we are building to right now. We are dive into that right now. So
Nice.
me still attach the Bluugo to it. So anybody was still, cause you know the people them love me. So the people them will been a follow the thing up. You know, whenever them type in Bluugo, them still see me pop up. You understand? So me no last them cause me still attach the name to everything when I do same way. You understand?
No, that's great. That
Yeah.
is great. So I mean, I can see you've been keeping busy. Oh yeah, I can see you've been keeping busy throughout. Which is great. Absolutely love everything that you've been doing. You've done some stuff for Shawnee B, Chase
Yeah.
the State one over here, so that has been amazing. At the moment, there's a video
at the moment, right now, I have a song out now called Uber with Jugglers. You know, Jugglers is another European, you know,
big
producer.
Big.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a video for that one coming out soon?
Yes, I think a lyric video because due to the whole lockdown, you know, I was supposed to go over. I was supposed to come to England, and they were gonna come over from Germany. I will start out the video, but due to the whole virus and the whole pause on the flight, you know, pause on the plane time.
This is what it's done to the world. This is what it's done to the world. While we're on the subject, what is it like in Jamaica for you guys with the whole virus situation?
Well, it affects everyone, you know, some people take it different from some, you know, depending on how your life set up, you know, what you have to do on a day-to-day basis. But for me, like, because of music, like, me still go studio, me still do what I do, but people still find it rough, you know, in their daily activities, you know, work, children not going to school. Well, as me say, it is not just in Jamaica, but it affects us. Kind Jamaican pitney, they're rude, you know. So you know that the parents them well want them out of the house, like just forget the day, get the fresh air, and them just gone at school and come back. You understand? Work has been difficult, you know, and you know some people taking the social distancing serious, and then some people just some places are still packed and clustered. See me? You understand? Like some people still not take it serious enough. So it is difficult. It is only a mixed feeling to it, mixed reactions. Everybody does. Yeah, but we'll pass. We'll I pray we will get through it. We'll pass it, you know.
Amen. That is the one. That is the one. What I'm going to do right now, because we are on a tight one, could you just put out all your social networks out there where everyone can contact you, and then I'm going to ask you for a small performance of it if we can.
All right then. What you want me to type it in? Type it.
If you could just say it out there, and you could type it in after, yeah.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, Flyght_Bluugo. That's Flyght Bluugo. Flyght_Bluugo. On YouTube, it's FLYGHTVEVO, and on Twitter, it's also Flyght Bluugo, and then the same underscore. You understand? And yeah, on Facebook, it's Flight King. You understand? So it's just bare flight. You know, from one flight to the next flight, you must reach out far away.
That's the one. Soar in the skies. That's what we like. There we are, people. That's all the information there for Flight. We will be hoping to play Tens a bit later on in our music section of the video. But before that, can we just ask for a small a cappella from yourself just to give the fans a taste of who Flight is?
All right, then. Inna the back of the cab, inna the back of the taxi, inna the back of the Uber, you let me feel so super, you woman. Inna the back of the cab, inna the back of the taxi, inna the back of the Uber, you let me feel so super. Taking me some places I never been, not even the innocent let me in. It feels good when you touch my skin, yeah. I got caught up within Wonder Woman Justice League. Wonder what you have up your sleeve. Grab my pants minus my brief. You have me in full custody. Showing them signs long time and them never know. Living on the edge is a way to go. Feel I'm in space and my brain aflow. Just let the action speak. Don't say no more. How are we there? We there uptown on a sidewalk. Everybody a view where did I drive past. Granny couldn't see clear, she left her eyeglass. But I and I last. Me wallet in the back of the cab. In the back of the taxi. In the back of the Uber. You let me feel so superhuman. 120, I 9 to 5. Everything I work out, 9 to 5. Having the best time while I drive. Don't pre me, just go find a life. Living each day spontaneous. See that in the train or the plane we go. Yo, that one a nice. Feel like a paradise. When she a roll her waist like she have a dice. In the back of the cab. Yeah, man. So that is the Uber.
Big. Now look at that. I love the sound. And I know the lifestyle viewers will be loving that too. So, sir, thank you very much for your time. As I said, we will be trying to put your video on later on, if not, definitely next week. It's been an absolute pleasure. Guys, check it out. You saw the details. Flyght, aka Bluugo, the last standing Magnum King. Sir, absolute pleasure to have had you, and we will definitely catch you again in the future.
Right. Bless up yourself, and I hope to catch you all soon in England soon. All right, as soon as it
100%. Stay safe. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, so that was Flyght, aka Bluugo. Big stuff. Be sure you'll be hearing a lot more from this gentleman on the entertainment corner and lifestyle in general. So keep it there. Okay, I did mention there will be a bit of comedy going on. This is a familiar face as well as a familiar surname to the lifestyle show. At the moment, can I please introduce Miss Jade-Marie Joseph?
Yes, you can.
Yay! Jade, how you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Do you know what? Lifestyle's back. I'm happy. I'm smiling.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
the one. Everything is great. And do you remember, I think the last time we were both on camera, we did have that hint of the new face of lifestyle, and now here it is, a weekly segment. So we called it and it's happened. Big stuff.
Put it into the universe.
That is the one. So tell us, Jade, with all the accolades and acting and everything that you've done, how have you been coping in a time such as now?
Well, so I've been kind of getting really interactive on social media. So that could be TikTok, or just kind of like making my own little videos to put on Instagram and stuff. So that's helped quite a lot actually. And I have still got work from like, you know, different organizations and stuff. So it's kind of been still very productive, and it's making the time kind of pass.
Yeah.
No,
that is the way. Well done. Have you done one of those? I saw a friend of mine had like some picture on his Facebook. Excuse me. Have you had like a virtual casting or virtual reading of plays or anything like that? Has that come to you as yet?
No, for me it's still a lot of self-tapes.
Okay.
So it's still a lot of recording at home and then sending it in and hoping you get the role. Or I did do a voiceover thing the other day actually.
Okay.
That was hard, but I got there eventually. And it's by a really big production company called UK Fully Focused. So yeah, I'm getting my little bits here and there, and I'm just trying to just make myself more more visible on social media. So the video that you guys are going to see soon, I put that on Instagram, and we got quite a good reception, and I just thought, let me just play around with things and accents. And
cool.
Actually, there's another thing I'm going to do. It's called an accent challenge.
Okay.
5 different accents, and it's for a production company called Level TV. It's going to be hard. I'll try. I'm going to do a bit of Russian, a bit of Russia and stuff, and Australian and American. Yeah.
Love it. Sounds fantastic. No, brilliant. So tell us a bit more about this sketch, how you came about doing it, how it's all come about, and then I'll allow you to introduce it.
Okay, so what was I doing? I think I'm always dabbling with accents, and I love doing like the Black American accent and stuff. So I made a character around whatever. I was just sitting there and I was just thinking, obviously it has to do with isolation. So I'm the partner of someone, I haven't seen him for ages, and I'm trying to call him. I'm not going to say too much actually, but I'm trying to call, and it's like, what's going on, And it's just kind of, there's couples that could be worried about what their partner's doing whilst they're not
it's true.
around them, I'm not trying to put nothing out there, but
Well, hopefully the video doesn't put a bit of paranoia out there in this.
You know, it might, yeah.
So, yeah, it's over to you. I'll allow you to introduce it. Is there a name to the sketch, or is it just we?
Okay, so yeah, it's on my Instagram at Jade_Titch, and you'll find more little bits there. And her name, she hasn't even got a name, but yeah, just isolation lockdown disaster. That's brilliant. Isolation lockdown disaster. Here it is.
Missing my boo. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really missing him, and he ain't been picking up my FaceTimes, but something like he think he got the Rona. But he messaged me last night saying that he thinks he's Rona free, and you know, I thought I'm gonna FaceTime him now. Okay, we gonna try it again, okay? Okay. Raquisha!
What?
Put your coat on.
For what?
I said put your coat on.
Girl.
Don't ask me no quick. Put your coat on.
Girl, you are crazy. Where are we going? Are we going somewhere?
Yeah, we going somewhere. We going
what
somewhere
about
right now.
quarantine?
I don't care about no quarantine. He got me for the last time. I'm not the one. Get the keys. Get the keys, Quisha. You know what? Ain't no more quarantine. Unavailable now. Unavailable. Okay. I said
Girl,
not
stop.
today. Happy quarantine, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna break it just one time. One time.
I have to ask this question because I've never really had a chance to ask an actor directly right after. I remember the first time I'd done an interview, and you were there actually, and I had to see the edit, and I walked out of the room. What is it like seeing yourself in full performance?
It's one of the worst things. It really is. When I see myself back on film, I think stage is the worst, but when I see myself back on film, it's just like I cringe. I do that. I close my eyes. I just don't want no part of it. But I'm getting slowly used to it. Actually, I watched a short film of me the other day with like loads of other people, and I'm like one of the main cast, and I actually watched it all the way through.
Good.
So
well done.
It's getting better.
Well done. Well done. Okay, now that's great stuff. Well, Jade, we will be back next week, so we will talk more into the career and the journey of Miss Jade-Marie Joseph. Until then, thank you very much. And
thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, keep sharing. Okay, see you later. Cheers.
Bye.
Okay, right now that was Jade-Marie Joseph. Thank you very much, Jade. How can I say this? We've been honoured to have the first black football player for Chelsea. We've had Mr. Rudolph Walker, and now it's my honour to introduce one of a legendary UK group, and I'm talking Errol. Errol from Imagination. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing, Anthony?
I'm very well, Errol. Mr. Errol Kennedy, thank you so much. It's great to have you back with us on Lifestyle. How has it all been for yourself? How have you been in these trying times?
Well, at the moment, it's a movie. That's all I can know, because it's just been one thing from the next, you know. Gosh, it's a long story. Are you ready? Well, I mean, I'll just give you a little taster. Just after Christmas, we had a fire in the house. We had to move out for 3 weeks out of the house. Builders were coming in. We were leading up to the corona. We didn't know we were going to get in at the last minute. And at the same time, my wife was taking me backwards and forwards to the hospital because they thought I had prostate cancer. So I had to take a biopsy test. And we were living out of, hotels and Airbnbs. And when you're doing medical stuff, there's nothing much better than being in your own home. And so we couldn't do that. So we're fighting to get back into the house with the builders, and finally we got in. We still haven't had all our clothes and furniture and stuff back. While we were getting the place together, I had to say that I haven't got prostate cancer, by the way. They told me that I was fine, so it's a blessing. Thank you, Lord. While we trying to get back in, we've got in, and I was there doing little bits and pieces of the house. And then it was a Thursday night where everybody goes out on the balcony, cheering the NHS on. So my wife took a couple of bins and we were banging it on the balcony. And then I said, oh, I've got my snare drum upstairs. Let me go and get that. So I grabbed that, put it on a stand, bashing away. And the neighbors all got into uproar. And so then afterwards, we thought, well, what else could we do? So my wife said, oh, wouldn't it be great if we did a 24-hour drumathon? So I've got a little electronic practice kit at home. And I thought, well, yeah, maybe we could do it. So I got in touch with a few friends of mine to help do all the streaming and, you know, all the technicalities. Neighbor got us together with Virgin Give to set up the charity. And my wife was just like relentless getting everything else together while we were getting all the technicalities together. So I drummed for 24 hours non-stop on my practice kit. My hands were swollen up, but we didn't have enough then. We said, okay, so what else could we do? So we said, wouldn't it be great if we raised quite a lot of money for the NHS at this point. So we said, you know, my wife and myself were speaking, said, gosh, I'm sure there's something else we could do. So we decided to do a drumathon. And it's extraordinary in these times, right? Because planning a drumathon, we just had the idea, but what we didn't realize is how in depth it is. Obviously, we're all in lockdown, so you're not accessible to get all the equipment and all the gear, and you can't socialize with people. So, you know, to ask a biggie of people to give up their time to get involved in this is like paramount. So we you know, spoke to a few friends and drummers and said, look, this is what we want to do. This is how we'd like to do it. Can you help? And wow, it's amazing. We started off with like 4 drummers, and we got in touch with the Guinness Book of Records saying that we'd like to do a Guinness Book of Record as well to track what we were doing, because it was extraordinary, because nobody's ever done a lockdown rock down in their house or in their studios at home. Some, you know, a lot of musicians have got their little studios in the back garden where they can't, you know, can practice and maybe do streaming to other places. So anyway, we sort of like organized that. I've got a friend, 2 friends actually, and they both got studios. So we thought, well, if people couldn't actually make it, they could actually go to these other lockdown studios where they could actually play in a clear environment, totally clean. So we sort of like put all that together, and friends came around us, and yeah, and so that's what happened. And now we're sort of like 10 days in, non-stop day and night. Every drummer is doing 12-hour shifts. It's been extraordinary. The tenacity and the strength of everybody giving, you know, well, really what everybody's doing is doing 12-hour shifts, just like the NHS. It's been extraordinary. We've had drummers streaming from Scotland, all the way from, you know, from the south, Dartford, Basingstoke, all over the country, Devon, you name it. And it's just been really extraordinary. We've got some extraordinary drummers as well that have played with Peter Gabriel, Stevie Wonder, Sister Sledge, The Feeling, The Kooks. Some extraordinary, well-known drummers out there have really given up their time to actually support an NHS. And you've got to think, one of the things that keep running around in my mind, my wife's had cancer, my mum's had cancer twice. I was on the brink of like a massive, you know, can you imagine when somebody says to you, you've got cancer and it's in the prostate? It's a major shock. And that, as I say, it really, really, when you think about it, you think how lucky we are to be in the UK with an NHS that's been walking no matter what's happening, and somebody will look after you. There's a lot of countries that you cannot do this to, and you know, but we are lucky to have that, and this is what this is all showing, our appreciation, and for people to really realise how lucky they are to have the NHS. So, with that said, we've now reach sort of like £30,000. 250 minutes time that we've spent with all these drummers coming in, doing a relay. I mean, in terms of putting their heart into it. One of the drummers almost lost his life a month ago, collapsed in the street and had to be rushed to hospital. And that's Jose Joyet, who's played with Stevie Wonder, all sorts of people. But then when heard that this was happening, jumped in straight away, no second thoughts at all. So, you know, there's all these drummers giving up all their time, contributing to the NHS, trying to make people aware how amazing and supportive we need to be. And it's great. What the sad thing about it, it's been such a, we call ourselves Octopus Production, my wife and myself, because we're having to deal with so many things. Yeah. I can give you little bits of stories of things that have happened, but we're still here. We're on the last, today's the last day, at 9 o'clock. You can go to imaginationband.co.uk, where if you log in now, you can see Gary O'Toole, who's playing us out. And at 9 o'clock, we're going to have a big celebration. People want to join us and donate. That'll be really good. Just join us and be a part of the whole thing. We're going to have a big dance out, percussion and house party going on, all online. It's extraordinary. What we're doing has never been done before as well. You never had drummers in their lockdown situation drumming from their home or drumming from their studio. The whole thing coming cohesively together. And we've just so tried to make this run smoothly. Phil, Finn and David, who've been 24 hours in their all media in Basingstoke, at the back of their garden, streaming everything out to everybody around the world. You've had Maddis and Grace and Mel in their studio at the back garden, streaming everything, you know, getting drummers coming there to play as well, because they've not had the equipment to actually drum from their home. So it's been absolutely extraordinary situation here.
No, that is absolutely brilliant. Errol, thank you so much. There's so much more I'd love to ask, but time is actually pressing against us. We have put the website there. Are people able to make a donation via the website while watching?
Absolutely. If you go to the website, everything is there, even though you can go on Instagram, etc. But if you go to imaginationband.co.uk, you can get the t-shirt. We're auctioning drumsticks. Drummers are offering so many things. You can see all the other streams from all the other drummers and get to know their profile, see what they've done and how much they're contributing, really get an understanding of the magnitude of what these guys are doing. People have had swollen hands, have ice on their hands for drumming. To drum for 12 hours to a point is an impossible task. You know, it takes a lot of tenacity. People giving up their time, being injured as well, playing at maximum, some great songs. And one of the things I've got to say, each drummer, it's like when you go there, it's like going to a concert, because each drummer is doing a really nice flavor of music. So it's 90 minutes of amazing music and performance. So like the drummer for the first time, the singer's in the background, he's with the band and he's the upfront guy giving it to the people. She can go there and donate to see, you know, just checking on everything that's going on there.
No, that is absolutely brilliant. Errol, we will definitely have you back in studio in the future. I love everything about #DrumForNHS. It is an absolute great sacrifice, especially when you talk about the hand swelling. You know, you picture the time. I never pictured the impact it has on you guys. So thank you for that great sacrifice that you guys are doing, and we will definitely catch up again in the future. Okay, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure talking with you as well.
Yes. Okay.
We'll see you guys.
Thank you. Bye. Okay. Wow, the time is absolutely flying by on us here. Pam, would you like to join me back up here, or are you in hiding?
Oh my gosh, what an entertainment corner. Absolutely thumbs up on that one. Absolutely fantastic. I love that. Drumming for the NHS. I love that. #DrumForNHS. Brilliant. Absolutely. Errol Kennedy, you're out there.
Great to see him back again. Yeah.
We really have run out of time, Anthony. I just want to. Do you want to do the Ben TV donation read, or do you want me to?
Yes, guys, if you head on over to www.bentelevision.com, it's one of those things. It's a trying time, as you may appreciate. There are other stations out there, but Ben TV is doing everything it can to maintain on the airwaves, but it's a bit challenging at the moment. So I'm going slightly off script here and just doing it off my head. But if you head over to the website, as much as £1 is all we're asking, just to help this, what you are seeing now. MediaNet is doing a fantastic job at the moment, but on the Sky airwaves. So for those who don't have that access to the internet, they need to access this show and many other great shows that are out there. So if you can head on over to www.bentelevision.com or .co.uk, just check those out. It's your chance to donate, support, and help this fantastic channel and platform go a lot further. Can I also say, while I'm on here and wrapping up very quickly, MediaNet, thank you guys very much. Music Media Management, thank you. Flight, Bluugo, it was amazing. Urban Delight, thank you. Errol, Imagination, twice. I am so lucky. So before anyone thinks I'm doing a fruit signal there, twice to have Errol. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm flying through because I know time is against.
Management team of Cabaret event designers, thank you ever so much as well. And thank you to all our guests, all of them. Rudolph Walker taking the time out. It's all good. We'll see them lot very, very soon. We want to say, stay safe, stay strong, and stay blessed. See you next week. From Ansel and I, we're out.
Bye.